Well, the cooperative movement of Nepal has really grown in the last few years. I think it's at a very exciting phase in its development, has the potential to be a very, very significant player in the economy of Nepal, and it's now setting the course. And I think with the new constitution that you will have, it's important the constitution recognises the value of cooperatives and the impact it can have on the lives of ordinary people, but also that it sets a very clear and good legal environment for cooperatives that empowers the people to take control of the cooperatives in their own hands. And that way they keep the prosperity that's generated in the hands of local communities for local people. And I think that's really important when you're trying to take people out of poverty. So I think it's got a very exciting future, but it is at a critical phase. It must get the regulation, the legislation, and the operational practices very clear.
Do you find positive opinion of the government of Nepal about cooperative?
Well, I certainly do. I've had the great privilege since I've been here to meet the President of the Republic, the Prime Minister, the Minister for Cooperatives, the Finance Minister. So I think this is a pretty good a few days spent here, and a great commitment to the cooperative movement that's been shown by the leadership of your government to come here and talk to the delegates or to make themselves available to speak to me. And each of them has spoken very positively about the value of cooperatives. And indeed at the inaugural ceremony in the National Stadium, the President spoke very clearly about the need for cooperatives to adhere to the principles of the cooperative movement that are recognised globally. And it's my organisation, the International Cooperative Alliance, that is the global holder of those principles. So it was a great pleasure to hear him speaking about the need for the principles that every co-op in the world adheres to be very clear here in Nepal. And don't forget, there are 1 billion of the world's citizens who've joined a cooperative. And that's including, of course, the 4.2 million people who are cooperators here in Nepal. So it's a huge movement, and you've much to learn from the rest of the world, but we indeed have got much to learn from you.
How do you feel this cooperative congress here create positive environment in this sector in Nepal?
Do you know what's really excited me? This is the first National Cooperative Congress here, and I've been really excited by the energy and the engagement and participation of the ordinary delegates. I'd often thought that it was the cooperators in South America who was the most energetic. But when I'm here and I'm listening to your people very keen to ask questions of all the platform, very keen to take part in the debate, I'm really encouraged that these people believe in cooperation, they want to make it work for themselves, their families, their communities, and for the greater good of the country. So I think this National Congress has been a really good first Congress, and you should go on having them annually or biannually, but they're a very important statement of inclusiveness, I think.
In your visit, did you find any obstacle or problem in this sector in Nepal?
Of course there are. There are always obstacles in every country. There are always some problems in every country. The cooperative movement is a movement of people. And when you're dealing with that, you will have people who are utterly committed to making their cooperative business work for their communities. But when you start to raise the profile and the success of the movement, you will find some people who come in because they want to make money on the back of the cooperative movement. And those people have to be weeded out. And ordinary people, when they're investing their money, must be really careful that the business they're investing in is a proper cooperative, is properly democratic, has proper structure, has proper meetings in which they can take part. And that's why the principles are so critical, because they protect ordinary people, they give them rights and they protect them. So you will always find this. It's not just here in Nepal, it's all over the world. These issues arise, particularly when the cooperative movement is successful. And people who want to make money think, this is a good way to make money, often with less regulation than the traditional sector. So we have to be very careful about our movement. We have to protect it from such people. But it doesn't stop us, the true believers in making this work for ordinary people, doesn't stop us growing this movement, and that's what will happen here.
Do you have any specific suggestions for Nepal to solve this kind of problem?
Well, I think, and I shall say very clearly this afternoon in my closing speech, that what is needed now is a clear commitment to cooperatives as the third pillar of the economy of Nepal in the constitution. I think it needs good new legislation, and in 2012, the International Year of Cooperatives, the United Nations asked every government to make sure that their legislation was, as they said, fit for purpose in the 21st century. It needs to empower ordinary people. It needs to set a very clear regulatory regime. It needs to make sure there's proper supervision of cooperatives, proper advocacy for cooperatives. And all of these things need to happen as your democracy grows here in this country. And of course, cooperatives are an essential element to help embed democratic practices at grassroots level through businesses. And that will help people to become better citizens and your democracy to grow. So it's a win-win situation for the whole nation, for the politics of the nation, for the way in which services are provided to people, for the businesses and the jobs it will provide for your people. I think it's the best way forward.